Hey everybody, we're going to do the battleship program. So I did ask you in the PDF you should read the PDF if you haven't already. I asked you to add code to line 8 right here that says board 40 equals X. And then to run this, so see, this is what gets printed without this, but I'm going to run it. And now we get an X here. And what this is row 4. So the first row is row 0, and then row 1, 2, 3. This is row 4, and this 40 means go to row 4, column 0, because this is column 0, column 1, column 2, and put an X there. This is how we're going to show where somebody's taken a move already. I think next then I ask you to change that line to be a 2 and then a 3, and we'll run this. This will go to row 2, 0, 1, 2. This is row 2. And then it puts an X at spot 3. So 0, 1, 2, 3. Hopefully that makes sense. I mean, I know it's a little non-intuitive that the columns are 0 through 4 and the rows are 0 through 4, but that's the way it works. Okay, so then I ask you to remove line 8. That was just there so you could see how the rows and columns worked. All right, so now we're going to write a program. A battleship program. I said change the board size to 8 by 8. So then right here on line 3, we're going to change this to an 8. Now if we run it, it's 8 by 8, a little bigger. It's great. And then next it says add import random at the top of your program. So import random. All right. And then before the while true loop, which is right here, randomly choose the ship location. So I show you how to do it. We're going to say ship row equals random.randint 0, comma board size. So it's actually board size -1. That's going to give us a random number. Board size right now is 8, but I made it so you could change that later if you wanted to make a bigger board. But this will give us a random number from 0 to 7 because this has 0, column 0 through column 7, row 0 through row 7. So then we're going to also say ship column equals random randint 0, comma board size -1. Okay, so now we have, technically, we've created a secret location for the ship. And I do ask you to print that location out. So in my output, I do it like in parentheses. Print, actually I did square brackets. For testing, the ship is at, I'm going to say ship row, comma, ship comma, and then ship column. And then I want to close square bracket. Get rid of this little thing here. Let's just do it like that. So at close quote, comma, ship row, comma, ship column, comma, and then quote, square bracket, quote. So let's see how this goes. For testing, the ship is at 03. Okay. So it's, it's nice. It's kind of a pain to test the program if we don't know where the ship is, because you'd have to try 64 bombs to be sure that you were going to get the ship, and that's just a little too much. Okay, so then next up I said remove the break from the while true. So there's only one break in this whole program. We're going to remove that. And this code right here, this prints the board, and that's perfect start for the start of every turn. So then I'm going to do r equals int. I'm going to ask the user to do a row. Input, please guess a row. And then I'm going to copy that line and paste it. Hit Control C for copy, and then Control V for paste twice. So please guess a column. Okay, so now we got a row and we got a column. And now we want to check if they got the ship. So we say if r equals ship row and then the word and, C equal ship column. That means it's a hit, right? You sunk my battleship. Okay. And then we do a break. The game's over. After the break, hit enter, backspace 1. Say else, print miss. All right, and when there's a miss, you have to make that spot on the board be an X. So board R C equals X. Let's see how this goes. Guess row. I'm going to go 2, 4. See that's row 2, column 4, and it says miss. Please guess a row. I'm going to say 3, 7. And then I'm going to say 7, 3. So it's very close to where the ship is. The ship is at 7, 4. So I'm going to say 7, 4. And you sunk my battleship. Arr! It's over. So that's a basic battleship game. So at this point, I'm asking you to make sure there's 5 checks I want you to do. Check 1, does your program print the ship location clearly once at the very start? I just want it once. We don't want it. If you put this printing line inside the while true, it'll print it every time, and you don't need it every time. You just want it once. All right. Does the board print right before the user makes a guess, like this? Let's see. For testing, the ship is at 6-0. So here's the board, and it's asking me to make a guess. Yeah, the board prints right before the guess. Does an X get put into the spot of your shot when you miss? Yeah. Yep. Are you told you missed when you miss? Yep. If you hit the ship, does it say you sunk my battleship or something like that? And then quit? Yeah, 6-0. Boom. All right. Okay, so I need you to get all of that working before you go on to part 2, which is described on the next page. So, all right, so make sure you have all that working. Now, part 2 is I want you to put the R and the C lines here into a try except structure. So I'll show you how to do that. I just wanted you to have the program working before you did this. So we're going to say try. So we have to say while true, hit enter and say try. And then tab this R in, just the R, twice. So it needs to be inside the try. And then we're going to say break, backspace 1, except value error. And here is where they didn't enter a number. Invalid entry. Please try again. I like having my error messages indented one. For that matter, I think I'd like the you sunk indented and the miss indented. Okay, so back to here, we did this while true. Okay, so this is almost everything we need. This is everything I've ever done with you on a while true before. But what we want to do also is make sure that the number they entered is not too small, not less than 0, and not too big, not bigger than 7 in this case, or board size -1. So we're going to add that right here on this line. We're going to hit enter. We're going to say if R greater than or equal to board size, we're going to print out of range. Please try again. Because you're not allowed, if the board size is 8, you're not allowed to enter 8. You can only enter 0 through 7. So this is saying, hey, if they enter something that's 8 or more, then it's out of range. Please try again. And then instead of a break, right here we say continue. This is a new command, I think, for you guys. That just says go back right to this. It says start this particular loop over again. And then we're also gonna. There's another way it could fail. We're gonna change this if line to say or R less than 0. So if either of those is true, it's going to say out of range, please try again. So let's try this. I'm going to try entering 44. It says out of range, please try again. So I'm going to say 4 this time. And just so you can see, if on the column, I haven't fixed the column yet. If I entered a number bigger than 8 on the column, it's going to crash because it, that's out of range. So, okay, so this whole thing we have to replicate for the column. I know it's a little scary, but let's get right here. Same indent as this while true. We're going to say while true. And we're going to say try. And then remember, we tab this in twice. It has to be same level as everything else. And then, we can copy all the rest of this. Might as well. And let's go right here. Except it's not R anymore, right? It's C here. C is greater than or equal to board size, or C is less than 0. Out of range, please try again. Okay, so things to watch for are, you've got your while true. This is the main loop for the whole game. And here's where we print the board every turn. And then here's the whole while true where we get the row. And then there's a whole separate thing. Notice it's indented out just like this for loop, just like this while. It's indented one in, one from the left. And we have this whole thing gets us the column. And then this if stuff, this is all, the if and the else are all one indent in. This is important. So the indents are very important. And let's run it and make sure it works. And then I do have you do some tests so that we know the ship's at 3-0. So let's try doing -2 for a row. Out of range, please try again. 22, out of range, please try again. I'm going to try 7. Okay. And now I'm going to hit enter for the column. It says invalid. See, it's still asking me for a column. -9 for the column. 99 for the column. 5 for the column. Okay. It's a miss. And it put the X on there. Row 7, column 5. Perfect. And then I'm going to just go for a hit. 3-0. You sunk my battleship. R. Okay, that's the complete program. So I hope that gets you what you need.